I'm Nathan Freeberg of Cave and Freeberg LLP, courtmartial.com, a worldwide military defense firm. Today, we'll talk about your right to remain silent under the UCMJ. Now, you've heard about your Miranda rights. You've always seen that in cop shows where a suspect is arrested and they're told the handcuffs are put on them and they're told you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to a lawyer, and so forth. So, your U.S. v. Miranda rights, because it goes back to a Supreme Court case from the 1960s, apply to you as a service member. You have that right as well. The right to remain silent anytime you're in custody and questioned. That's specific to Miranda. A cop can just talk to you and ask you some questions, and Miranda doesn't apply. It applies if you're in custody, like the handcuffs, or if you're in essentially in a conference room at CID headquarters or NCIS headquarters. That might be considered custody depending upon the circumstances. The good news is that under the UCMJ, you have a stronger right to remain silent under the Article 31 UCMJ. Article 31 exists because Congress was worried that commanders were ordering service members to talk to law enforcement. And so to stop that, they created Article 31 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And what Article 31 says is that essentially any time that someone in your command or military law enforcement is investigating you for a potential offense under the UCMJ, they have to tell you what you're accused of and that you have the right to remain silent. That's what Article 31 says. It's very important because it means that even when you're not in custody, if they're investigating you and they ask you questions, they still have to read you your Article 31 rights. Now, how do they try to get around this in order to get you to talk to them and say something that they'll see as incriminating? Well, first, whether it's Army CID, Navy, Marine Corps NCIS, Air Force OSI, or Coast Guard CGIS, they'll first do what's called a rapport building session. Well, they'll ask you questions about where you're from, your favorite sports teams, all those things, and they'll pretend to have things in common with you. And they'll do that for anywhere from five minutes to an hour and a half. I've seen it all. And they'll flatter you. Sometimes they'll have a very attractive agent come in and flirt with you, all of that during those rapport building sessions. I've seen all of these on interrogation videos. And they'll only read you your rights when your guard is down. So that's the trick they try to play, is to try to get you to the point where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, seems like a nice person. They're clearly on my side. I'll talk to them. And of course, they're not on your side. I once saw a case where an interrogation video, they spent about an hour talking to him, going through, rapport building, talking about sports, talking about different things, deployments. Then they finally read him his rights. He says, sure, I'll talk to you. About an hour later, they end the interview. They walk out into the hallway and he hears them say, boom! And he realized he made a horrible mistake. So always invoke your right to remain silent. Reach out to an attorney who knows how the UCMJ works. Always invoke your right to remain silent under Article 31 UCMJ.